How many books have you written so far?
I have 3 books that are published. 4th is being edited right now, and that will be focusing on narcissists, in particular individuals who have been in relationships with them and how they are working to kind of come to a healthier place after the end of a relationship with a narcissist. The next book after that will be A Champion's Mindset, the 2nd edition. It'll have more information that has been very productive for the individuals I work with, and they have oftentimes asked for it in a written format so they can take that with them. So there's a number of books that are already in kind of line for their next publications.
There's so many, we live in a city full of artists. Mm-hmm. Based on the topics that you touch, it seems like they're very prevalent within people within the arts and sports. What would you find is the biggest challenge for people that have champion attitude, however, they have a hard time creating the mindset to be a champion?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Many individuals who are high achievers oftentimes have used a sense of perfectionism to push them to this elite level. The drawback is perfectionism is a double-edged sword. It's both what pushes you, drives you, as the motivating fuel to continue and be diligent and persistent, but it's also hypercritical, all or none tendencies of evaluating situations, and being perfectionistic is singular and an outcome. We don't control outcomes. And if you're not the best, then apparently you're the worst. And that tendency of being in this kind of push-pull where I want to be the best, but then if I'm not, I can be rather cruel and harsh and not display grace. So understanding, and I try to help individuals, whether they're in the arts field or in athletics or even in business. The goal isn't perfection. So I encourage people to shift from perfection to excellence. Excellence is not about outcome. It's about the process. It's about having the right attitude, putting in the time and the effort, doing things you're passionate about, giving it your best. If you give your best, then you can always be proud of that. It's not dependent on that. And as I tell everybody I work with, your happiness and success cannot be dependent on the world. If it's dependent on the world, you will be disappointed and depressed. Your ability to find happiness and create that and success is an internal reality. And so each person, since we always say there are no guarantees, what can I do to increase my probability of success? And that's all you ever do in everything in your life. Once you have someone focusing on that, they're not then dependent on an outcome, but rather do they do their best, give it their best, and feel proud of what they did.
You obviously lead by example. You project being a champion within your field. Have you always, since you graduated from school, did you go out on your own, or have you always been independent? How did you get to where you are at?
I appreciate that. Well, I was on the other side of the coin. I was an athlete before, and I'm from the Midwest, and so my mentality is always, can't we just get along? And in competitive sports, that wasn't working too well. So they had a mental performance coach that was working with our team, and they were emphasizing the idea of developing the killer instinct, that in this moment, bring my best, be laser focused, and my job is to do my best. It's not to be, can I establish a friendship out here right now with you? Before the match, after the match, certainly. Since then, when I got my doctorate, I was fortunate enough to be given an academic appointment, a faculty appointment at Johns Hopkins. And so I was on faculty for over a decade. I was the director of prevention services in pediatrics, and I was the director of communication skills training to teach the docs the art of interviewing, how to talk to a person, not a disease. I also was a part of a group practice, and I was with them for over a decade. My whole goal was eventually to be in a private setting, consulting with a number of different organizations, whether they're professional teams, the US Olympic program, or corporations. And so fortunately, I'm kind of doing what I always wanted to do. I feel very fortunate that my vocation and avocation actually are married together.
Where can people find you?
You can reach out to me either by email, which is Dr. Shinitzky, DrShinitzky @yahoo.com. You can go to my website, which is www.drshinitsky.com, or you can give me a call at 727-560-2697.
I know I asked where people can reach you. The last question I will ask is, who are the people that should reach out? Who are those that you can, because we're in a city filled of arts and sports, and in a state, I mean, in a world, how can, oh my gosh.
What would drive someone hopefully to then reach out?
Correct. And who's your audience? That's basically my question.
Yeah.
On a more, because when I hear you speak, and what I already know of you, and what I've seen from factual information from your book, etc., my first thought is, I will never be able to afford this guy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, that's not the case. I've had many people who talk about what I should be charging, and I know that I've always tried to be reasonable. The only insurance I take is TRICARE Humana, so I can work with the military and their families, and that's my way of giving back in society. So it's a out-of-pocket boutique practice. I tend to say that everybody, including myself, have room for improvement. And again, since it's prevention, I'd rather deal with an issue rather than wait for it to become a problem. So I don't want people to suffer in life. And so a lot of people would wait until they have a serious problem. And I sure don't want people to, struggle in their life. I don't want people to be in severe depression or severe anxiety or any of those situations. So being able to realize that since we all have room for improvement, I can learn how to be in the moment. I don't dwell on the past and become depressed from it. I learn how to learn from it and let go. And we have a whole protocol for that. I don't have people fixate on the future, which causes people to become anxious and worry. The reality is the only thing I can address is the present. And so one of the things that I found over the years is if I can help people liberate from the shackles that have carried them for years from their past, they can be in the moment. And if I can help people stop investing their energy into the future, but rather to be in the moment, we get people to be more productive. And since you can't control the future, there are no guarantees, it allows them to increase the probability of their success. So I tend to say that most people have the ability to reach out to me. You don't have to be in severe pathology. I don't want you to get to that place. I'd rather prevent that from ever happening. And so that's my mindset. The majority of my practice has been referred by somebody else on my practice. So I don't do a whole lot of marketing or advertising. My referral base is usually someone who knows someone I've worked with when they tell them, hey, I'm struggling with something. And I get usually vetted by their friend, and then I get an individual who's what I call a first person referral. They're just reaching out to me. They're not being told. Their boss isn't on their case. They don't have some doctor saying it's really a trauma that you're going through. It's not the coach or the owner of a team. It's an individual who usually reaches out. I have a significant amount of young adults, high schoolers in particular, who happen to be elite athletes. And their families and they themselves want to go on to either be Olympians or pros. And it is a wonderful time because the earlier any of the material that I publish, the earlier someone gets to understand this, the better it is for their life. And again, it's all prevention. I would rather, hey, read my books. If I never see you, have a great life. All I want is this information to get out there. So I would be open to chatting with someone on the phone. If you send me an email, I'd be happy to reply.
Wow. I cannot thank you enough for being here today. Any words of wisdom you want to leave us with, even though just by answering the questions, you really open the mind a lot and seeing possibilities and things that can be done and addressed. But any, not final words, not or last words, any words of wisdom?
Yes, since I don't want to be tossing more out there, I'd rather say, remember, there are no guarantees in life. Work your hardest doesn't get you the promotion. Study your hardest doesn't get you the A. Practice the most, it doesn't guarantee you make the best team. The only thing you can ever do is increase your probability of success. So figure out your long-term goal and then break it into reasonable, bite-sized morsels that are short-term goals that are going to be moving you in that direction. Remember, as it's been said through Confucius, even the greatest journeys begin with a single step. May this step be the first step helping you get to your goals.
Dr. Shinitzky, thank you very much. Cannot thank you enough.
Thank you for having me.